Hey guys, it's your girl Amelia from The Beat of Adventure, and today I want to take you through a quick tutorial on how to edit a night photo taken on a smartphone on Adobe Lightroom Mobile. This is an amazing app, and what I'm going to show you is using primarily all the features of the free version. The only two features you won't be able to use are the spot removal tool and the selective filters. But other than that, you'll be able to do most of these adjustments with the free version, which is awesome. So I'm going to show you how to take a photo like this to this. And with this photo, there's a lot more room to do like a heavy edit in terms of color. Obviously, you know, you wouldn't push like a normal photo as far as I have, but this transformed the image, and it's actually one of the images I really love. This was taken in Japan. I think we were heading to Golden Guy. That's why I want to show you some of the functionality that's in Lightroom Mobile and how you can transform night scenes into something that's actually super usable. So let's jump in. This is Lightroom. You've got lots of options here. You know all the basic ones. I've already cropped this. I'm not going to recrop it. I've made that 4:5, which is perfect for Instagram. Exposure, obviously with a night image, you want to be careful because you're going to introduce noise, especially if it's low quality. We obviously want to bring back some of the details, so I might lift the shadows a bit, not too much. Highlights you can play with. Don't want to bring them too low. I'm going to pump the contrast just a bit, probably to like 10. This is the real basic adjustment. So we're not doing anything crazy here. We're just trying to get a bit of exposure. Remember, really take these. You can like push them to their extremes to see what the slider is doing. When you're new to Lightroom Mobile, that's one of the first things I suggest is get your sliders and literally like, look, if you bring the blacks down, it's just ridiculous. If you bring them up, you're bringing way too much back, but you can see how much detail you are getting back. Look at the difference when that's at 0 versus when it's at 100. So, you know, you can play with that. Again, I don't want to go too crazy. Now, here's where you get a little bit fancy. So this is in the light panel. If you go to curve, set some points. I like to set 3 points at each of the intersections first so that I'm not adjusting my curve too much when I drag one of the points down. Then I'm going to select here. So I like to bring my blacks up a bit. This is going to give you that kind of, I guess, faded film look, that it can help you if you have a lot that's blown out. In this image, the corners on the bottom are definitely clipped, so we're not going to get a lot of detail back from them. So fading them can kind of help make that look more like a stylistic choice than that the photo is actually just clipped. Okay, I'm going to add a basic S-curve here. I'm going slightly more heavy-handed than maybe I would normally. And then here, I'm going to duck that up a bit, not too much. You can now also do your RGB. This is where you can get a bit fancy. So I'll start with the blue actually, because this image, I know I want it to have blue tones in it. Now look what happens. See when I bring up I don't know if we're falling into blacks or shadows category here. When I bring that up, you get blue in your darks, right? So that's your blacks and your shadows. And that can, again, enhance the filmic look and also give you more of a stylized vibe. So that's what I'm doing. This is not going to work on standard photos. Like, again, this is just specific to this image. I'm going to also add just a slight S-curve mimicking what we did in the previous one, except for this little point here. Just mimicking what we did in the previous one, but it's a very minimal S-curve. And then I want to do it with the greens as well, adding a little bit of green to my blacks and my shadows. So you want to be spheric. You don't want to go crazy with it. And then we'll also do a little S-curve, and then I'll do another S-curve again in the reds. So playing with your tone curve is a really great way to really transform the colors beyond like just using the HSL sliders, which we'll get to. That's our curves. Happy with that. We're gonna go to color now. Now here I want to make the temperature way more blue. So like just straight away we're going with a blue tone, and then you can look and see what changing the tint does. I'm not going to really do too much. I think I probably want it more to the pink side, but not crazy, so let's just go to like 5. But you can see from the blue, I'm at minus 25, and that was before, and that's after. So you can see straight away we're really transforming this image and giving it more of that. I guess it's typical for Tokyo, but it's that Blade Runner like style thing. I'm not going to do too much here. You can play with vibrance and saturation. Sometimes I bring the saturation down, but then I'll bring the vibrance up. So this is what we're working with now. It's okay, but it's not great. We've still got lots of detail that we're missing. So we come back, because when you adjust your tone curves, that's adjusting the contrast as well. To come back to my shadows, sometimes my exposure, to lift things up. I could probably go a little more on the exposure. If you come back to the color tab and you click mix, this is now your HSL. So play with the luminance and see what it does. So with the reds in these signs, I can leave it as it is. If I just bring it down a smidge, I get a bit more detail out of it. But you don't want to also bring them way down that they don't glow anymore, because they're signs, they're gonna glow. We're just gonna bring it down a bit, maybe to 10. That's before, that's after. I feel like 10 is good. You can play with the saturation as well if you want. I'm gonna leave it. And then obviously your hue, you're changing the hue of the red. So I like, with these kind of signs, I like to just push it a little bit to the pink side as opposed to the orange side of red. So we'll go maybe to 10. Come to our oranges. Again, this is all personal preference. Now remember, with an image like this where it's so dark, you can use the luminance to boost the light in certain colors. So here it's really good because we have this area here with the orange, and then we're gonna boost it up because I do want more light there. It gives your image more of a glow. Do the same with all the other colors, so I'll just zoom through this. Now remember, if you want to see where each color is affecting the image, if it's not obvious to you, just go extreme. So either drag your hue because you'll see the color change, or use the saturation. If you can't see it with the saturation, then you can use the luminance. Drag it all the way to either end to just see what's changing in your image. The other thing you can do with your color mix is you can click this little target. You can select a part of the image, for example, the kind of orangey glow. You can select there. You can drag that up, drag that down, and can you see it's selecting whatever hues are involved with that color? So in this case, it's red and orange are the two colors that make up that part of the image, and then you can adjust the hue by dragging it either way. I'm just gonna rush through these. So here's really important with night photos is when we get to our blues. Aqua and blue. In my case, this image has way more blue, yours might have more aqua. So blue is going to really change the whole mood. Look, if I bring it to the teal side, pretty much now it looks completely fake. It's gone totally teal. It is a beautiful color, but maybe not as natural. Bring it all the way to the purple side of blue, and now it's become literally purple. It's turned everything that was blue into a purple. So it's going to affect the image a lot, and a lot of night photos taken in cities are going to have these tones. So just look out for it and adjust it how you want. I definitely want to go a little bit towards the teal side, but I'm not doing teal and orange. So I just want to edge it that way. Now, importantly, again, when we're talking night photos and we've got neon signs and LEDs and light, I've got this really cool flare that's going on from a lantern up the top. I can adjust the luminance. See how that makes our light flares a bit more obvious, but it's also going to blow out the signs because they're the same color. So you have to really watch it. It's a careful balance. You don't want to go too crazy. I mean, overall, I'm editing this quite heavily. The key with Lightroom Mobile, and particularly when you're editing something like a JPEG, you want to be kind of minimal with it. So, and then just go through. I'm going to do it with the purple as well. I actually quite like it being more of a purple because it gives us a bit more saturation where we lost color. Play with this again. Cool. So we've adjusted our color. So this is what we had before. This is after. We're getting there. We're not quite done. Here you can do a bit of split toning. So, you can play. I like to bring it all the way up to the top, so you're at saturation of 100, and then drag it across the hues, and you can really see what it's doing. It will look ugly as all get out, but it will give you a much better idea of how it's affecting your image. And then you can adjust the balance. So the balance is it more the highlight split toning, or is it more of the shadow split toning, and it will, adjust it. You can do your detail here, which is your sharpening. So here's the trick with sharpening on Lightroom Mobile. Set your sharpening to what you want. This is a crappy JPEG, so I'm gonna put it at maybe 50-ish. Now with your masking, you can't press Option like you can on a desktop to make it show you how it's applying the masking. But here's the trick. If it's at the lower end of the slider, it's going to try and sharpen every single thing. So if you had a person, it's going to sharpen the outline of them, it's going to sharpen their clothes, it's going to sharpen the flat bits of their shirt. For most of my photos, I literally take the masking all the way up to like between 70 and 90. That means it's going to more just sharpen your outlines, right? So your outline of a person, your outline of a building. Just remember to set your masking to the higher end of the slider and play with it in the kind of top half, I guess. That's going to give you usually the best option. I'm just going to leave these radius and detail at their defaults because it's much easier for me to explain that to you with the desktop version than the mobile. Optics, you can do things like remove chromatic aberration and enable lens corrections. That'll fix any warping and things like that. You can use your transform tool. So if you go to geometry, that will correct if you've taken it at a weird angle or anything like that. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to leave that. Right, so profiles is interesting. I might come to like vintage and I'll just play with applying them on top of what I've already got and just see if there's any like magic thing that really looks cool and kind of changes the whole look of the image in a way that I like. And then you can adjust the intensity. So you can bring it right up or you can bring it right down. Bring that one down to 20. Liking the way that looks. Here's the final bit. Now this is only available in the premium version. You don't need them, but if you have them, they're handy. So let's go to selective and we're going to use our filters. So the first one I'm going to do is a radial filter. And what I'm trying to do with the radial filter is just get the kind of bottom half of the image where it's totally blacked out and we don't have detail. I want to bring some more of that back just where the people are walking so we get the path out and the kind of bottom half of their bodies, I guess. You can adjust your feather. I want the feather to be probably 100%. Come to light, and then you've got your same options that you had for your general adjustments, but this applies only to the radial filter. So I'm going to come to shadows, and you can see I lift that up and I can bring so much detail back than before. So you can see that. I don't want to go too crazy because it's going to introduce a lot of noise. So I just want you to be able to see that there's some ground there. Cool, and then go to the gradient filter. And we're going to rotate this and we just want to get these two bottom corners. Nothing too crazy, so I'm going to back it off so it's like really feathered. And again, we just want to bring a little bit of the shadows, not too much. You can do the same on the other side, just enough so that you can kind of see that there's detail there, even though it's not super visible. Because even though the image is clipped on the corners, I don't want people to necessarily think that straight away. It's going to be different on each side because obviously there's a different amount of light. We want to be really careful that we're not making too much noise happen. There we go. So that's before, that's after. Now you can go in and you can really back off on certain things. So I might bring back the blue a little bit here. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm actually going to bring the highlights up on this side. I think that's what I did last time to make it look like it's just white. If you can see some of the speckles of where a light has blown out and you can just see a couple of bits on the inside, then it looks like it's clipped. Whereas sometimes if you just actually put it all the way up, when someone first looks at the image, they're not going to be able to really tell. But anyway, that was before and that's after. And honestly, I would be happy to put this on my Instagram grid, and I have put this on my Instagram grid, this photo. When you want to export your photo, go up here to the share button, export to camera roll, and it will save it. So to be able to go through your camera roll and revive a photo that you might have first thought, well, this is crap, I can't do anything with this. Whereas now, it's like actually a cool travel memory. So that's what I love about Lightroom Mobile. And surprisingly, a lot of people that use the app, they don't really know like that they have this much control over a JPEG or a smartphone image. So that's the whole aim of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I probably rambled, whatever. I hope it was helpful. I'll see you in the next video. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover with Lightroom, Mobile, Adobe products, any of the above. I'll see you later, guys. Have a good one. Peace out. Bye.